Now for something completely different.
Watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favourite podcast platform.
Or ask your smart speaker
to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Subscribe, like, follow, and join in now.
Strap yourself in.
Because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Right, Chris.
All right. Good evening, everybody. How the devil are you? Welcome along. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good day, goodbye. Wherever you are. After a day of Formula One, we're back with the football. Yeah, I thought it might feel better, but it doesn't, does it? Not at all. Well, as they say, in a packed show tonight, do remember that this is question time, 9 o'clock on Mondays. It's your show, basically. What I do is I kick the show off with one question, and then whichever way the show sort of takes, wherever avenue it goes down, it's down to you guys in the chat, because you then ask the questions. Myself, Dave, and Brad and his friend who are in the chat tonight will try and discuss them for you, of course, as long as they are sensible. Before I start tonight, I do actually just want to take 2 minutes of your time just to pass my condolences on to the family of the Blackpool fan who died after the Blackpool-Burnley match this weekend at the Blackpool pub on the promenade not far from the ground. I spent 2 years in Blackpool. Blackpool is Blackpool. It is what it is. I met my wife there. Apart from that, I've got good memories. And, I didn't. There was never a dull moment, whether it was down to the pleasure beach and then getting thrown off the beach and having to go onto the Dodgems, or watching the Nolans on North Pier. I mean, you were never ever bored. If ever you sat there one night thinking, what can I do tonight? And do you know what? Actually going out and doing the conga to Black Lace on Central Pier was a hell of a lot nicer than stopping in and watching Howard's Way. But look, I jest on a serious topic here. We don't want to see violence, and it does seem to be creeping back into the game. We're trying to get safe standing back, and we don't know yet whether it was Burnley fans or, it was on the promenade, so whether, the moment they're not accusing nobody, it could have been their own fans fighting amongst each other. Look, football is a game. Nothing more, nothing less. Yes, we all get riled up about it. Yes, we shout and argue about it. Of course we do, because we're passionate about our teams. But let's just remember, it is just a game of football. We've just come out of 2 years or 2 and a bit years of COVID, when we lost thousands and thousands of people. My condolences to his family, but let's just remember what football is. Tonight, well, there's a couple of things I was going to talk about, but what I wanted to start by mentioning is 2 things. If you're new, please subscribe to the channel. will love you forever. Or I'll tell you what, if it's easier for you, subscribe to the channel and I won't love you forever. How about that? And smash the likes button whether you subscribe or not. Both of those things are free. But for just $1.99 per calendar month, you can join and become a Leicester Till I Die member on YouTube. We had bronze, silver and gold Fox memberships, but of course we are in the middle of a price blowout. I mean, nearly virtually in a recession. So I've merged them all together, and it's now just the bronze price of $1.99 a month, and you get discounts on merch, you get special membership of clubs, you can come on the shows, have a look on it. $1.99 a month of your good English pounds. It is good value. And we're on TikTok. I've been on TikTok for a while, and I think people have been going on following me on Chris LTID Foreign, which is my own account. And I posted one video to my own account, December 2021, and I haven't done since because I go on there to watch Mark Goldbridge have meltdowns and what have you. But if you want to watch Leicester City or Leicester Till I Die content, that's where you find us. TikTok.com/@LTID.TV. And you can see things like this.
We all know, like I say, and I showed this sort of right at the start, and I showed you before the game, but we all know that you had you had Janino in your pocket. Has that weighed you down over the years, or is he still there?
He's asleep now, but I can wake him up if you want to have a word with him.
No, it's fine. Let him sleep, bless him. Let him sleep.
All right.
Did you know?
And if you want to see me rant and lose it, Victor Christensen, just over a month. And guess what? Training ground injury. Fuck off in hell's sake, Brendan Rodgers. What the fuck are you doing at that training ground? Jesus. You've got more victims than Harold Shipman. My God almighty. And that's about the only one I've been able to broadcast so far. But get over to TikTok or check out Leicester Till I Die shorts on YouTube. We are there. So that leads me very much into tonight's topic. Because like I say, I will ask the first question of my colleagues, then we will move on. And I was going to ask, having watched Bruno Fernandes' antics at the weekend, he's hit in the chest, he goes down holding his face. That is cheating. I've said it and I'm blue in the face for saying it. It is cheating. But then again, I'm thinking, wow, this is the Man United player. We've had years of use of Ronaldo doing that. Should we really, maybe it's a Portuguese thing, but should we really be surprised by it? It's just the norm. So I thought, you know what, I can't be bothered to do it. So we won't be talking about that. I'll tell you what we're going to talk about after we've had a few hellos here. Let's have a look here. Michael or David is in. Get him out of the club at Rodgers. I think there's a lot of that. Doug is in. Red Face is in. David is in. Yeah, you're quite right, Doug. I think if you fall into a relegation zone, Rodgers will be gone. I think if we do that, we're down. I think he should go before. Good evening, Spencer. How are you? Yep, nobody should go to a football game and not return. We've had that with our own Leicester fans. RIP. It's dangerous almost knowing if you're coming back alive or not. Pure disgusting. It is red face. Today was the first time in Rodgers' reign I have been Rodgers out. Welcome to the club. Like I say, my fence has just absolutely collapsed now. The gate between the two sides was of no help whatsoever. I slammed it open the other day to get onto the Rodgers outside of the fence, and it just collapsed on me. Zuki, mate, I got your message on Facebook. Sorry, mate. I did the Formula One watch along yesterday. It has been chaotic. I'm not sure, obviously. With your age, are you at school during the day? I'll try and send you a brief synopsis of what to do. Nate is in. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I didn't see Madders' comments. What did Madders say? Boy? I just think there's so many comments been coming out. Barnes, we thought he was taken off because he was shit. He was actually taken off because he was injured. And that is what we're going to be talking about tonight. £100 million, £100 million of your good English pennies have been spent on the training ground. And, our men's team are 15th out of a possible 20. Our women's team are 12 out of possible 12. The under-21s are 10 out of 12. And under-18s are 9th in their division out of 12. What has that money gone on? Like I jokingly said earlier, and I know maybe you shouldn't joke about these things, but Harold Shipman didn't have as many problems as Leicester City at this new training ground. I mean, what the hell is going on? Well, two experts are going to come in and join me and discuss this with me, but that will be in about an hour and a half's time. So until then, he's back on Facebook. They allowed him on. It's the man. It's our version of Jim Davison, the man who you can find on surreyhillsradio.co.uk even. surreyhillsradio.co.uk with his prog rock show. And let me say, if ever anybody epitomises a face made for radio, let's say hello, Dave.
Hello, Chris. You all right?
I am. I'm just trying to survive here, and if I don't laugh, I'll cry. How the devil are you,
sir? Recovering slowly. Yeah, bad weekend all round.
Well, wasn't it just? And you went, I believe.
I did. Yeah, I was with a good old Southampton mate of mine, and we met my daughter and another Southampton lad who lives in Leatherhead. Met up, had a few beers, and then I can't remember the rest. It was terrible.
I dodged a bullet because we usually go to that game because it's only just down the road from me, and my son messaged me and said, "Dad, we've not been able to get a ticket in the away end this season, but we're members, but we're not." I was waiting because he's not a member, so I was waiting to see if he could get a ticket. Anyway, we left it too late. They all went. He said, but I have been able to get a couple of seats in the home end, as in the Southampton end. He says, I'm going to take Loz, which is his fiancée. Do you want to come with us? And I thought, do I want to spend all that money to watch a pile of shit and be in the middle of all the Southampton fans? And I said, no, not for me. Thank you very much. He said, well, I'm going. We're going to go anyway. I said, well, you have a good time. Yes. Sean, how did that work out, mate? And let's all come in. The man and his echo. He's here once again from Top 10 Battles. Let's welcome in Brad.
Hello. You can't tell if that's me or the echo, can you?
Which one do you want me to, which one am I replying to?
Well.
It's a Walshy thing, isn't it? He's here, he's there, he's every fucking where.
Yes.
Sorry to audio listeners. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. It's a bit like Junior Lewis. He's everywhere, but we can't get rid of him, though. Anyway, Brad, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening, gents. How are we both?
I'm well. And he's just stuck his thumb up, which I presume means he's well. Yeah, do sign language. Obviously, not having the camera on isn't helping, Brad, but Brad he's going to try and mute it when we're not speaking to him. But if you want to come on camera, Brad, because they say it's not making any difference at all. Told you, bro. Let's have a look. Is in. Where's he gone? Evening, Chris, and evening. Zuki says, thank you, you're welcome. Somebody's cousin is in.
Hello, John.
For minutes. Is Dave Smith making an appearance? Yes, he is. He is. It wouldn't be the show without Dave. One of us has got to make me look handsome. And then Dave's here. Sorry, mate.
That's all right, I'll put my alter ego in.
Yeah, do it. That's an improvement. Good God, Dave. I can see why your wife married you now. Yeah. John actually did pop in onto I think it was the Formula One show on Sunday, mentioning. How did, is he a Manchester United fan, John?
Oh, no, he's a serious Leicester fan.
Oh, is he? Oh, I apologise.
I think the problem with him is he was born in Hinckley.
Well, what can you say?
Sorry,
Talking of Hinkley, Tripe and Onions is in. Tuesday night's football in Stoke incoming next season.
Oh, don't.
Tripe indeed. United fan Zuki, hope it's just a blip. I believe in Ten Hag as a fox. I have just become a Twitter blue. And I had just put a Twitter out saying, is his new name Five Hag? And they scored the sixth. Now, thankfully, when you've got Twitter Blue, you've actually got 30 minutes in what you can change your text. So I went on and amended it, but whoops, Six Tag now, send. Bloody hell, Seven Tag now. Thanking God Almighty, when is this going to end? Manchester United, whoa. Wasn't it good to see Gary Neville cry? Almost. Cheers, Doug. I will do. Zuki, he says they're talking amongst themselves. Thank you. It's Dave. Kathy has let him out again.
Thanks, mate.
Where does she keep him?
She does as I'm told.
Oh, dear. Zuki in the cellar then and just lets you out when you need babysitting duties. How is Kathy's win section, by the way?
Oh, they won.
Did they?
Chichester Festival, mate. Yeah, they won it.
Well done, Kathy.
Yeah.
Please go and take over Leicester City. We need a
nice to have one. Nice to have one winner in the family, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Yeah. Well, glad to see our win section is holding up. Nate always saying hello. Terry's in. Hello, Terry.
Hi, Terry.
Oh, it's 2-1 to Brentford. Come on, I need another goal. I've gone 2-2. The man in his echo, indeed.
I'll tell you what, joking aside, I watched the first half of this game and they showed the total difference between what they are now and what Leicester are. You know, they've got commitment, they've got fight. They don't tippy-tappy around in the back four and have nowhere to go. They really want to win, want to play. Massive difference.
Seems to be. Well, let's get on because, like I say, ladies and gentlefolk, what we're going to do is we're going to start with the first question, see how it goes, and then we'll move on from there with whatever you want to bring up in the chat. Let's bring Brad in because he's been very, very quiet. I like this new Brad. He's quiet. Brad, £100 million spent. What a waste of money.
The thing is, we've somehow made a training ground accessory become the Leicester equivalent of VAR. It's not the training ground that's the disaster, that's the waste of money, because it's been voted one of the best around the world. So it doesn't get that and cause injuries. It's the problem is with the people that run it, or the people that use it, should I say. It's 100 million that's being wasted, but not in the sense of the training ground itself, but in the sense of the idiots that are using it, the intense training, the people that come up with the pitch planning, this bloody ridiculous one, extremely hard and intense ground, and this one that's really soft like a daisy ground. I don't get it. Someone would need to explain to me, but that's where it's all going wrong, and it is getting made a mockery of because we've got one of the best facilities and we've got more injuries than anybody.
I mean, Dave, I jokingly joked with Brad when we first signed Christensen about how long it would be before he would be on the injury list.
Yeah.
And let's be honest with you, I've just been proved right. It is, somebody surely... I get injuries are part of the game, right? And if Barnes got injured in that first half, he was doing his job, it comes with it. But how many injuries are we seeing that are occurring or even reoccurring on these training pitches at Seagrave?
Well, I'm not convinced Madders is fit. I'm not convinced a lot of them are fully 100% fit. I don't get that dry, hard pitch, everything else either, because the pitches are watered constantly where everybody slips over. So why train on a hard pitch? I don't get that.
Apparently, and this was according to Rob Tanner from the Athletic, and let's be honest with you, he's been there. I haven't, but he said to me in an interview I did with him that There are pitches because Jamie Vardy likes a hard pitch to train on, and Johnny Evans, because of his injuries and what have you, prefers a soft pitch to train on. Now, I'm only, as I say, I don't know. I've not read it anywhere. I'm only going off what Rob has said, and as I'll be bringing up the tweet that Doug very kindly sent me in a bit to talk about Madison, but. People, they come and they must look at it and go, wow, what a great facility. But it's like having, it's like fur coat, no knickers, isn't it? Do you remember that phrase, Yeah. You see people walking around with a fur coat on, but they couldn't afford the knickers underneath. And it's a bit like that at Leicester now at the moment. We've got this amazing training ground, but all we do is injure people on it.
Well, I don't think the Harry Maguire training ground's to blame for it, as Brad says. I think it's the people that are preparing the pitches or whatever they're doing, or the training regime. I mean, I remember a few years ago this happened, and John Rudkin got all the blame for it for some reason. I don't know why he was involved, and he seems to be involved in everything. But we sacked the physio, didn't we? 5 years ago, was it? David Rennie, yeah.
Yeah,
and it started going wrong from there onwards. So,
I mean, Brad. Everybody says, well, it's not just Leicester. Every team's, struggling. But I don't give a fuck about other teams. I'm just concerned about Leicester and how we can't stay injury free. I mean, I don't know. I'm going back now. When we won the Premier League, and I know we've got older players than that now, but. Players, we don't think we had any injuries.
Sorry, what was that last bit, mate?
So we never used to have any. Well, we didn't have many injuries that season.
Yeah. The problem is you have to look at it at a whole scale, because you can't account for a player. And I've said this, and I know we're going to mention it, and I'm pretty sure I know what tweet it is you're on about. That Doug's probably sent you across about Madison, but I've said this numerous times about Madison, and I think the same with Ricardo Pereira. You can't account for a player that just is injury prone and it just has a niggly injury that won't go away. The ones that concern me and should be concerning Leicester more than they seem to be doing is the tight groin injuries, the hamstring injuries. They usually come from being overworked. So I don't think it matters if they're playing on bloody sponge or if they're playing on rock hard soil. It doesn't seem to matter. Them injuries come from being overused and too intense training. So the clue stares them in the face, and it's like it's got an invisibility cloak chucked over it. It makes no sense to me. That's the most concerning thing to me, right? If you play the game and you're thinking, we train really hard and we keep getting difficult injuries. This is what happens at other clubs because they take the same approach. Every club that's struggling with these type of players that, you can have an injury season, say you have an unlucky one if someone has like French Voldemort injury done to them or a James Justin. They're horrible. They can't be helped. But when you see players constantly, it feels like there isn't a day that goes by that someone hasn't got a 2 to 4 week injury. They're the basics of looking at where they start. They walk into the training ground, they train intensely for 3 hours. Maybe we should trim that down. No, it just seems like the basics is just unfolding, and I don't understand it. I don't understand how it's being made out like it's a Krypton factor to figure out how to fix the problems.
Breaking news, literally breaking news as we are live on air. We have a manager sacking.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's Jon Schuer, the manager of Brighton WSL team. But I got all excited for a minute then when I saw manager sacked. Sorry, guys, had to do it. But yeah, he is now gone. Look, Dave, I mean, let me look at 3 players. It's a good point that, and I'm not, you do get players that are persistently seem to be injured, sick notes. Darren Anderton, he was the prime sick note. He had more games on the injury table than he did on the pitch. But you look at us, Vardy. I would expect Vardy to take longer to get over injuries now because he's getting older, And as I know, if I cut my finger now, it seems to take a week and a bit to heal. Not like when I was sort of, sprightly aged like Doug, and it took a couple of days. Evans, age again. Ricardo. It might be that he's turning into a sick note. But then you got things like Christensen. He's 19. He's younger than Thomas. So that you can't. He's not a sick note. He's not an old player. He's a young player. So it's got to be down to the training, and this has been going on for a few seasons now. So surely somebody somewhere at Leicester, and tops over in Thailand a lot of the time, but surely, I know she's not got any balls because she's a woman, but Susan Whelan, what are you doing? What do you do every day when you go into that club? Because you can't be sat there thinking, oh, God, another injury. Well, it's injury that happens, doesn't it, eh? Oh, no, someone's going to be looking at it and saying, what the fuck's going on?
I think you're right, it's happening too often, but also that intensive training isn't making us play any better. So it's not as if it's working. So you'd think they'd review the training methods. They had a month or two off at Christmas, time to sort that out. Okay, unfortunately, we went on a good run before Christmas, so I assume everybody was comfortable. But they should have seen the big picture and the fact we're not performing like we should be. We're bottom half the table. I mean, we should be in the top 6 or 7. And forget all this stuff that I know. I'm one of those that says, well, you can't remember when we were shit. Well, yeah, that was Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I say that all the time.
So the training is not working. So what we're doing is picking up injuries, but not getting the effect of it. Pereira, Ricardo, he was fine for a while, wasn't he? And then he suddenly started getting these knocks. And then he couldn't get over it. And that's what makes me think the medical stuff are wrong. Because either he came back too soon or they haven't treated it properly, or I don't know. But these guys are serious professionals. And you hope that they don't fuck it up like that. You really do, because they're not, I mean, they're not just your old physio with a sponge. They're serious medical people. And they should be advising the coaching staff that, hey, guys, this is wrong. You're putting too much strain on the muscles.
Before I go to Brad, you're like me. You grew up. We've watched football in the 70s when it was played on mud baths, and you couldn't get any speed up, and the tackles were going in, and players would just turn around, stick 2 fingers up at the opposition, get up and carry on playing. Now, you touch them in the chest. If you're Bruno Fernandes, you go down holding your head. I don't know how big his head is. Well, obviously bigger than even he thinks it is. Yeah. But, I mean, if this was happening back then, we'd be having games cancelled all the time. I mean,
the difference, Chris, is I didn't see it today, but I saw it on the news tonight. Who's that referee that goes in Sky News and does the Monday morning show?
Oh, I know. I can see him.
Yeah, anyway. No, he actually said that Fernandes, it was a sensible decision not to send him off or book him. I'd have had him straight off without even getting the card out. I mean, if we'd have touched a referee or a linesman, okay, it was a push. But if we'd have touched anybody like that, you'd straight off. And now they seem to accept that. And as you say, cheats. They accept cheating.
We'll come on to that, actually, jump to that in a second, because that is a good point, because I wasn't going to mention Fernandes, but I did, so I'm stuck with it now. Brad, last point on this question. Is it, whatever happens at the club, when it comes to the football side, where it's, the team, the squad, the fitness, the training, it all comes to one person, and that is Brendan Rodgers. The training is done under his rules because he's the team manager. Players coming back will have to sort of say to him, yeah, I'm fit or I'm not fit. So I can't see. Yeah, you could say that the people above him, like say Susan Whelan, Rudkin, Top, and all these should be looking at it and going like, what the fuck's going on? But I can't see it going, the actual responsibility for everything, going anywhere else than landing at Brendan's door.
Yeah, because ultimately he's the one that asks to hire the staff that do the training. We also forget that not all managers are hands on. I know we see Brendan out there sometimes, but never seem
He
to
should
much.
be, because at the end of the day, it's his job that's on the line.
Yeah, of course. And that's the thing. When you're one or two types of manager, if you're the one that sits in the office, does all that, goes out there on a Thursday to do the match planning, and that's when they get involved. It's just unfortunate football's taken a change, and whether you like these changes or not, they're the changes in footballs. You haven't got to roll your sleeves up, tackle you, and get up and say, I'm going to tackle you just as hard, if not harder. I'm going to make sure you come off this pitch worse sort of attitude. It's the same with the managers. They don't roll their sleeves up. They're not allowed to shout at them anymore. Not unless they're managing Man City or Liverpool and that, and get away with it. It's great entertainment for Sky. No one gives a rat's arse if one of their managers do it. But it's all changed, hasn't it? The old approach to the game has changed, and the thing is, the buck just gets passed. We know it with Brendan as well. He's a clever man. To get a job at this level, you have to be clever with the answers you give when it's not going well for you to keep your job, and he's clearly doing that to them. I'd be completely 100 billion% miffed if, without us being able to know that they haven't asked Brendan what's causing the injuries, because it would absolutely that then would look worse on the club, because you're thinking, well, who's not doing their job properly then? Who isn't at least raising the question?
That opens the question, because you've got you've got. Let me just mute you again, mate. It raises the question, Dave, that why isn't anybody looking at it? And you as Brad said, and we know from the summer that they don't talk, because Brendan was happily going about his business, and I gave Brendan some sort of leeway for this, but he was readily going about his business, trying to bring players in, and Top just didn't tell him, sorry, don't bother wasting your time, we've got no money. So maybe Top is not talking, or if he's that busy looking after King Power because of the COVID situation, and I would understand that, why hasn't he got his brother, who is vice chairman, to go in and do it and say, oh, just kind of a word in your ear, Brendan, we haven't got any money, so you better not start looking at players, because there's obviously no communication there, so obviously they're not talking.
Or what if Brendan realised that it was going to be a difficult season and needed an excuse in his back pocket? What if if he failed, if he didn't keep us up or it went wrong, then it's the board's fault. Now, if you want another job, and if you get sacked, you get a big payout, but you'll get another job because you just say, well, the board wouldn't back me or couldn't back me. Perfect, get out.
But he never used that. In fairness to him, he never used that excuse.
No,
he used every other excuse.
That's even better. Because when he goes for the interview at Chelsea, he'll say, well, of course, publicly I didn't say this because I didn't want to upset the club or the supporters, but this is what really happened. That's how it works, mate. You keep you quiet, and everyone thinks you're wonderful because you're discreet. You come out and say it, then no club wants you.
No, that's a fair point. Fair point.
I'll just say hello to Ed as well. I think watching. He's a Saints fan, so you might ban him. Ed.
Oh, yeah, I saw his comment go up. Ed, how soon we forget 9-0. Basically, what we're doing, Ed, is we're letting you slowly get those goals back, but just a game at the time. And I still think you're below us in the league. But yeah, just remember, mate, not only 9-0 once, but 9-0 twice. Oh, man. I mean, that's just the first time, yeah, shit happens. Look at United at the weekend. Second time, yeah, it's a bit shit, isn't it? Then again, mate, you deserved it on Saturday. Fair enough. Fair play to you. We didn't take our chances. You had one chance. You took it. When we don't have a shot on goal all game, mate, how the hell are we ever going to win a game? So fair play to the Saints. Fair play to the Saints. let's go back to this before we move on to Maddison. Let's go back to and I mentioned it, and Doug's mentioned it here as well. Bruno Fernandes should have been sent off yesterday. He pushed the linesman. Let me ask this question, Dave. Not only did he push the linesman, and let's face it with you, we all remember, was it Di Canio that pushed the referee? Okay, the referee did a bit of a Di Canio and went arse over tit a couple of times to get it effective before he went down. But yet you should not touch the linesman. You should not touch the referee. But also, you should not cheat and go down holding your face when you've been pushed in the chest, because you are trying to get your fellow professional sent off. Maybe it's a Portuguese thing, because we know Ronaldo was good at it. Maybe Portuguese players like doing it. But we've got this fucking thing called VAR. Why is it being used to look at these things, whether it was for that incident or whether it was for the pushing the referee, and say, no, because I've said this and I'm blue in the face for fed up with saying this. If we started retrospectively dishing out yellow and red cards, managers would soon be pissed off with losing their players for play acting, for diving, for pushing referees, for feigning injuries, and they'd be telling them to stop it. If Bruno suddenly said, right, if somebody gave Bruno a red card now and said, look, you cheated, which is against the rules of the game and against gentlemanly conduct, whatever, you cheated. Oh, and you also pushed an official. So we're going to give you a red card. Oh, you're going to miss 3 games. Ten Hag's going to be absolutely fuming. He'd have bloody Fernandes in his thing, in his office the next morning saying, get your fucking act together.
It wasn't only that, was it? He kicked out at an opponent when he was running through. Now, fortunately, he didn't quite catch him, but it was just a petulant kick. And he'd made a tackle before that as well. There's 4 yellow cards there at least, if not one red. But it's a Man United player. I mean, we've said it so many times. The top teams, allegedly, their players get treated differently. But also the rules are wrong, because there is an anomaly where if you commit an offence, and I think it happened tonight in the game, and it's not inside the box, it's not a red card, and they can't look at it. But if it happens in the box and the referee gives a penalty, they can look back on a red card. So how does that work? You do the same thing. It just happens to be 2 yards outside the box.
Because they're protecting the bigger clubs, I think, aren't they? I mean, Brad, it's got to be used, hasn't it? Because we're getting fed up with all the cheating. And it always seems to be the same players that are cheating. Fernandes is one of those players you just want to go up and smash in the face before you even know what he's like. And I remember, funny enough, I watched last night, because I clicked on it on YouTube, and I always end up going down these YouTube rabbit holes, and 3 hours later at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's like, bloody hell. And I'm watching some canal boat on the on the Norfolk Broads or something. But Brad, I actually clicked on something that said the night Leicester City won the Premier League, and it was showing the Chelsea Tottenham game. Obviously, the night we won the Premier League, and I forget who the referee was now. Clattenburg, wasn't it? Clattenburg, and you can see he booked 10 people there. 10 players got booked that night. I think 7 of them were Spurs. But he has admitted since that he was determined not to send a player off because he did not want Spurs blaming him for not winning the Premier League, and he felt that's what would happen. But we've got the facilities, Brad. This should be used.
It's almost like we've discussed this 4 billion times. I'll be honest with you. I did not really watch much of the Liverpool game. I don't even know the incident you guys are talking about. I've never been one to really care unless it's Leicester that are playing, to be honest with you. I can watch a game. I mean, I admitted to my mate yesterday, I actually said I actually ended up putting it on just because it was getting so hilariously out of control. That I put it on, but I didn't see the incident.
What I'm saying is, well, okay, not just Man United, but any players from any club, these things should be looked at retrospectively.
Yeah, of course they should. But we've said the solution when we've discussed the other referee in the game, and that's the virtual assistant referee. You just need to mic the refs up. It's not hard. It's not. We're not stuck in the caveman days where we don't have a clue. Clue is in the question. What would stop these players shouting and accusing referees of cheating and saying, "Oh, you're doing this because you're this and that"? Well, if the referee's got the evidence and can hear it, and we know that's what's being said, these players don't say it. Why do you think rugby players are a lot more well behaved on the pitch?
But I don't think miking the referee up would stop Bruno Fernandes holding his face if he got pushed in the chest, or miking the ref and linesman up wouldn't still stop him pushing one of them.
The problem is it's the pathetic theatrics that everybody has the biggest problem with, because he's not cheat. He's cheating in the way he goes down, and the fact he makes such a big deal of it. That is pathetic. It's sad, but we know, unfortunately, that's what they're told to do from a young age these days, and it's sad and pathetic and worrying that they're actually taught to be like that. The thing is, the misconception is he pushed him, whether it was light or not. No matter how dramatic his reaction is, it'll be looked upon that, well, we did make contact with him. Not enough, whether then it's analysed and scrutinised to detail. The play action's the pathetic part that we're all really frustrated when it comes to a thing like that. I'm only going off how you guys are making it sound to me anyway, because like I said, I genuinely haven't seen the incident. But I've not liked it when some of our players have gone down like that. So I can kind of hazard a guess, and I would look at it and go, well, just don't be fooled. As a referee, train them better to not be fooled. Look at an instant and use that brain cell, that common sense part of your brain, and go, yeah, he did push him, but not enough to send him to the floor. Get up, play on. Essentially, Man, you don't have to defend something with 10 men.
Sorry, Dave, sorry. If we do that, which Braddy's saying, and it's a fair point, like, come on, it's only a little push, don't be theatrical over it. But at what point does it stop? Because somebody said, well, he set the precedent now. The precedent's been set that you can push a linesman and get away with it. Doesn't matter how hard. If I go out and punch somebody in the face, if I punch a policeman in the face, go out tonight, it doesn't matter, it was only a little tap. I punched him in the face. But, there does seem to be one rule for the general public and one rule when you're on the football pitch. Miking referees up, you're right, you can hear what they're saying, but it doesn't matter. You need somebody looking at it and going, well, whether you called it out or not, what he did was wrong. He cheated and he pushed a linesman. Therefore, he's being dealt with, whether the referees picked it up or not. Because I tell you one thing, the referees would soon pick it up when they're being seen not to pick on these decisions. And also, like I say, managers would soon clamp down on it as well.
There's no common law about it or rule. It's the fact that some referees don't like being touched. Others don't really care. You see lots of players touching referees on the shoulder, or just like this, and that's okay, sort of almost friendly. But his wasn't.
No,
he did it petulantly, and it's the petulance that we all hate, and the fact he's such an arrogant twat as well.
Let me ask you this, Dave. Would James Madison have been sent off if he'd done it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Madison gets booked for just nothing half the time.
Liverpool, no disrespect, Doug. Liverpool, Man United, Chelsea, Man City, Newcastle will be up there in a few months as well. Spurs, Arsenal, they are all just... There's one rule for the rest of us and one rule for them. And I just think something needs to be done. We've got this thing called VAR that's fucking crap at what it's supposed to do, so let's let it do something that it's good at, and that is picking up cheating, diving, fouls, because none of us want to watch it. Next season, allegedly, it's going to be coming in that we're going to see 90 minutes of football, or as near as damn it, like we did in the World Cup. What they did there was like the 10 minutes injury time at the end. So maybe that will help it. Maybe that will bring it into the realms of like, I better not go down. It's only going to get added on at the time. We'll see.
Well, Chris, I mean, just on that, I mean, that would end up getting the job done, because look how it annoyed the players I mean, like I said, I didn't really watch it in any of that, the World Cup and that, but I know that it was like 14 minutes, 12 minutes, ridiculous minutes like that because they were trying to get, the referees were doing, funny enough, what we always suggest, which is they stop the clock and then they go, okay, that's how, well, but they're adding it on instead, which we do in this sport, and the players got sick of it. Because that's the only reason the time started getting back to normal with its stoppage times, because the players got sick of playing an extra 12 minutes. Like, well, it doesn't matter, we'll get on with it. It's funny how the simplest solutions sometimes are the right one, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And in fairness, we pay for 90 minutes of football. If I go and watch Leicester, I don't go to watch 60 minutes of the game and 30 minutes of the opposition players, or even Leicester players, let's be fair, rolling around on the floor, feigning injury. If you're in, and let's be honest, let's not forget Cornet at Burnley. What a cheat he was. He's now, where is he now? West Ham. When he was fouled, he was actually ended up off the pitch and he been shuffled over back onto the pitch so that the game could end. As a fan, that pisses me off because he's wasting time that I've paid to watch. If I'm only going to watch 60 minutes, maybe we should do a new system, Dave, where we pay for whatever we watch. So at the end of the game, you take your season ticket or your ticket and it's charged or refunded. But if we've had 90 minutes worth of actual football, that's fine. If we've only played 75 minutes, then I get a sixth of that back.
How does that work with the guys that leave 10 minutes before the end?
Well, that's up to them. Do you know what I mean? But that's a separate argument.
Brad's right, what he said, but the only way that will work is if you have an on-display clock. Because you don't know what the referee adds on.
But every ground in the Premier League contractually has 2 screens in the stadium, so they show a clock that runs alongside the officials. Otherwise, we'd be wondering why officials are blowing up for full time, but the big clock on our showing the score and the highlights is saying 87 minutes.
Yeah, and
it has one in there, and they have the ability to do it. So. It's not, again, it's nothing new, and they're making it sound like it's the newest thing ever to fix.
I didn't realise, and I don't know whether this is true or not, but I read somewhere midweek, and I'll say hi to Nippon who's popped in. Do you know, I thought it was the referee. He's got his watch in his hand or on him, and he presses the stop button when he wants to break in play. But apparently it's the fourth official who actually finally decides how many minutes of injury time there's going to be on. Now, I don't know how true that is, but that's what I've heard. That it's the fourth official that decides. So all that fourth official's got to do is be in control of a clock, as you said, Dave, that's on the thing, like basketball. I think it's basketball, isn't it, where they've got the time up and the clock stops.
And netball.
American football, I'm not sure if they do it in that.
I have no idea what they do in that.
No, but I know I've absolutely no idea. But yeah, it's not exactly. It's not exactly. We're talking about technology that was probably available 20 years ago. It's very easy for somebody for that. We've got so many officials. One of them can go. Oh, I'm going to press that button and stop the game for a few minutes, whether they do or not. But
you've got a VAR. You've got an assistant VAR.
Yeah.
You've got these teammates and everything else. You've got probably 10 officials per match.
Yeah.
And not one can keep the time properly.
Yeah. Want to move on now to the next topic, which was brought up, I think, by Nate right at the beginning, and I got that through. Thank you very much, Doug. This is what Rob Tanner said in The Athletic, and I get on with Rob Tanner. He's been on the show a couple of times. He's a lovely guy. Now, if you do not subscribe to The Athletic, and I'm not going to do a big advert here for The Athletic because obviously they don't pay me, but it's £1 a month. You get 4 months at £1 a month. I then went to cancel because it was going to go up to $7.99. I thought that was a little bit too much. And then they said, oh, please don't cancel. You can have it for 12 months for £1 a month. I went, well, all right then. The old threatening to cancel thing. It is, and it's not just about Leicester. Obviously, it's about every single club. But the guys that write for those papers are good journalists. Rob Tanner, he's followed Leicester all his life. He's worked for the BBC Radio Leicester. He's worked for the Leicester Mercury. He knows what he's talking about. And I tell you something, I would probably trust him as much as Mr. Fabrizio Romano. So he does write a good story. It is worth following for £1 a month if you don't do it already. But basically what his headline was, this Leicester side buckle under the slightest pressure and it could spell doom. I just want to pick up a couple of things that he said. A shocking midweek home exit to Brighton at the FA Cup on the back of abject performance against Arsenal. Brendan Rodgers admitted it was worrying how much better Rovers had been. In the build-up to a crucial clash with rock-bottom Southampton, who started the day with the worst home record of any side in all top 4 English divisions, defender Wout Faes called it a must-win game. Well, they didn't win, and everyone should be worried, not just Rodgers, because Leicester are well and truly enriched in the relegation dogfight and are displaying the attributes of a team ripe for the drop. Rodgers is losing personnel at a key period at an alarming rate. On the back of Tielemans being ruled out for 6 weeks after landing awkwardly and twisting his ankle against Arsenal, Rodgers confirmed promising young defender Victor Christensen has twisted his ankle in training and would be sidelined for a month. Then Harvey Barnes limped off with an ankle injury caused by fouling James Ward-Prowse. The treatment room at Leicester is once again like a scene from MASH. For those of us of a certain age will remember what that was. And he goes on like that, and he looks at some of the individual players. But then, and I do thank Doug for this, this is what Maddison came up and said. In reply to him, rubbish, watch and analyse the game properly and stop writing headlines like that, which you know makes fans pile on with negativity. Play like that and we'll be absolutely fine. Created numerous brilliant chances and win comfortably on another day. I've got to say, James, I know he would never come on here, obviously, because he's not allowed to. But James Maddison, when is that day coming? I'm 62. I've probably only got another 20 years maximum in me. Is that day going to come before I pop my clogs? Because the way it's going, I don't need Rob Tanner to tell me you lot of shit. I can see you lot of shit because fans, believe it or not, James Maddison, we do have brains, we do have eyes, we can make our own judgments. And the judgment call at the moment is, you are shit. Brad, I'll come to you first with this one. He's out of order, isn't he, Madders?
I mean, he is, in that he's gone a bit too in on it. He really has not really let the pressure cooker cool down first, because Maddison's always been very passionate and outspoken. That's never been a mystery with Maddison. He's always come on the defensive for the club when he's felt the need to. It's why we all admire him so much, not just what he does on a football pitch, but what he can be like as a person. We all think he's a credit in front of the media, the way he does his press conferences, and that people love him for that side of him as well. You could argue it's a bit of overpassion, and he's kind of reacted when he maybe should have just read it and just not bit or just left it there. But he from Maddison's point of perspective, he is going to think he's done that with the greatest intentions. He's probably not so chirping about it now. If he's got a bit of backlash from it, I don't know. I did see it myself, that tweet, and I saw both sides of it. I think he's gone in a bit too harsh on Rob Tanner there, because he's only the voice of the people. He's that connection line between the boardroom and the fans, in a way, isn't he? Because they're the sort of respected journalists that they know fans really appreciate and listen to what they say and have their opinions. Because 9 times out of 10, he's thinking the same as fans, let's be honest. And then they'll look at Maddison's side of it. He probably shouldn't. You just shouldn't have done anything. You should have left it unsaid. He shouldn't have said anything, because you can't defend it when you've just lost the bottom of the league. There's really nothing you can try and justify that everything's going hunky-dory, mate. I'm sorry, James, but that was a bad PR stunt.
Dave, I actually put a tweet out. We've got family infighting here. What's going on? I I put a tweet out and I said, no respect. I get on well with a couple of Southampton fans off the match day vlogs. And I went onto their show just before on Friday night on a preview. And, they were worried, but they couldn't believe I was worried. And I said, you've obviously not watched Leicester this season. They were the worst team in the league before we kicked off on Saturday.
Yeah.
And yet they've done the double over us.
Yeah.
Look, they said they will have the worst home record of any team in all 4 divisions. We lost to Everton, who had only won once away last season, and yet they came to the King Power and beat us as well. There's something not right. And I think James Maddison coming out, when players start falling out with the press, to me, it says something worse is going on.
Well, I do. I don't think we lost at home to Everton. We haven't played them yet. We beat them away.
No, that was last season. Sorry, that was last season.
Okay.
Yeah, the end of last season. They only won one away. And then they came to us at the end of the season and they beat us. Yeah.
I think Maddison was probably doing it as captain. He takes it quite seriously. I think he was misguided. I think he's overrating the game. But then when I saw Brendan Rodgers' comments, I thought, shit, was I at the same game? Because I just felt deflated. I felt embarrassed. I felt the lack of effort was out there, lack of anything, passion, call it what you like. I mean, I can't explain how the fans were. They were furious. And unfortunately, I got stuck next to the guy who I think was at the Brighton game behind us as well. And it was obscene. I mean, he should have been escorted out. And a lot of young supporters that were pissed and just, I think just go for the crack. But I just wanted to sit there, I was numb. It was that bad. Yeah, if we'd have scored the chances, we'd have won. But I'd still thought, that would have been 3 probably good moments in 90-odd minutes of rubbish. Iniacho, I know Brad was rating him before, but he's had shockers in the last 2 or 3 games. At Arsenal, he made all the wrong decisions against Southampton on Saturday. He looked a shell of what we know he can do. But
I mean, Brad, with Kelechi, and I know you're a big, obviously, Kelechi fan, as am I. Obviously, John, he does have a point there. But look, against Man United, if David Gea had a game against Leicester like he had against Liverpool, Kelechi would have got all those attempts past him. But he was the outstanding player on the day. But yes, on Saturday, it was just an abject display by everybody.
Yeah, but even I said in my post-match, he was like he had his Akinbaye moment. He missed some right sitters, I'm afraid. I can defend him against Manchester United because I agree, and I said the same. And the other day, he probably put them 2 chances away against Man U, and De Gea decides to actually be a competent goalkeeper. There's not much we can do. But also then, he should have put a couple of them chances away. At least a minimum, we should have been 2-0 up, and that could have changed the whole thing. And that's the thing we're going to have to accept, that an informed and younger Vardy puts them away. We know that, but we've got so accustomed to that we're going to get used to a stinker performance from Iheanacho. Because he's not really changed, has he? I brought it up on the post-match, but, anyone remember that Man City game when Vincent Kompany scored that wonder strike to beat us? And he missed the goal completely with the chance that would have ultimately won Liverpool the league with the way the points played out after that game. But, yeah, it's just going to happen with Iheanacho. We kind of have to accept it. The worst thing we can do now is drop him. Because
I'm not saying dropping. No, I'm not saying we should drop
but I'm saying those that didn't like the performance, I understand why, but don't think we need to be dropping him.
No, not at all. I agree.
The confidence just dropped from about 65 minutes. You could see Iniacho's head went, and everybody else's head started to go. The legs got heavy. They just didn't want to be on that pitch. And I tell you, it didn't help by the attitude of a lot of the supporters. The Rodgers out shouting started at about 60 minutes. And it was, I hated it. I'm not a great fan of him now. I think he should have gone ages ago, but I hated that. That is not going to keep us up. That is going to get us relegated. And the fans say, well, we want the players to do it, but there is no reason to do it during the 90 minutes. Do it after the game if you want to.
But after the game, okay, let's go on to that point then. It's a fair point. Whether I agree with booing or whatever, but at the end of the day, if they did it at the 90 minutes, Rodgers is in the in the changing room. Top, if he's there, is in his little cubbyhole having his glass of wine with the opposite chairman and owner. Who's going to, they're not going to be reporting it on the news that there was chanting or booing because the game's over.
No,
fans have got a right to do that. Now, do you honestly think that if the crowd got behind this shower of shit that we are now watching, that it would make them play better?
Well, I don't think it'd make them play any worse, which booing does.
I'm not saying it would make them any worse, but what they play out, they are playing to however Brendan Rodgers tells them to play.
Yeah.
But they don't go out, and I'm not saying that the players go out for any match and go, you know what, I can't be arsed today, I'm not going to give it 100%. Of course, they don't. But we also know we can't sack 15 players, but we can sack one manager. Same for every single club. It's always the manager that goes, no matter how shit the players are. They say you can't polish a turd. Well, I'm sorry, you're getting paid so many million a year to try and polish it. But they've got the right to sort of shout for Rodgers out. They've got the right to boo. I think was it only Madison that went over to the crowd at the end to applaud?
Well, I don't blame him.
Yeah,
seriously, I don't blame him because the abuse that was coming from the crowd was offensive.
Good. Good. Maybe then they'll understand, and maybe they'll go in and say, "Oi, boss, they don't like the way we play. I've heard them booing. What are we going to do about it?"
Or maybe they won't want to play next week.
Well, they can't play. Let's get the youngsters in. They can't do any worse.
That's another argument. Where were they? I haven't seen any youngsters on the bench or anything.
According to this, they're 10th and 9th in their respective leagues.
Yeah, but there's 2 or 3 of the lads that could play, isn't there?
Yeah, Brad, what's your thought? We know in fairness, Dave, that Brendan would probably get roasted if he introduces them into a relegation fight. But Brad, they've got the right to boo. They've got the right to let the players know how they feel. If the players can't take it, well, go home and get the mummy to change the nappies.
I mean, people say, and I understand Dave's point to a degree, but Dave, I would actually argue that the fans do support them for 90 minutes. No. It's not the players that are usually frustrated with. They voice their frustrations at that full-time whistle, because they're not getting matched for what they're giving. I know the players have we all have our different roles with this lovely sport of football, but at the end of the day, it does, regardless of the price, whether it's £3, £30 or £50 or more that you're paying for a ticket, it's disgusting the same price that prices can get for it. Take that out of the factor, right? If you go to cheer somebody on, right, and you're cheering on a team, right, you want them to perform. We've always said on this channel, and Chris will back me up on this, and we've always said, especially when we've played higher opposition, that if Leicester put the effort in, we can forgive the defeat, right? And it's when we don't see the effort, right? We would have still been angry and annoyed at losing to Southampton, but it would have been a bit more easy to take if we'd have had 20 chances and just hit the post, crossbar and everything but the back of the net, and we'd have gone, Jesus Christ, how's your luck? Southampton nicked one, typical Leicester. We'd have had more of a tainted rant towards it. It's the performance, and they're allowed to moan at it. But like you say, they're going to go in the change rooms. Why aren't they going in the change rooms and looking at the manager going, you can hear the reaction? It's not... It's very direct to who it is, because they say they want Rodgers out because we're not agreeing with the style of playing. You're not changing the style of playing, and he is essentially telling you to go out there and play in a way that we cannot do, and it's going to get us relegated. Something the fans are basically saying that something's changed, and the obvious change you make in this situation is the manager's got to go. So fans have a right to voice that when the final full time whistle's blown.
Okay, we got 12 games to go. Okay, the behaviour was the same at Brighton. Which game was that? 20 games ago? 15 games ago? Nothing's changed. And that was probably, I would say it was worse at Brighton.
Maybe if it had changed, we then wouldn't be in this situation.
No, but it didn't
that's
change.
because we've got a stubborn manager.
We were not affected a change.
I want to ask you this, though, Dave, and I agree 100% with what Brad just said, totally. Those fans, okay, I think it's a maximum of 30 quid, right? Is that how much the maximum they can charge for an away ticket in the Premier League? I think it's capped to a certain price.
Yeah, it is capped at 30.
Yeah. So you got 30 quid. You've got well, everybody, because it's an away game, you've got your travelling, you got your food, whatever. So it's probably you're looking at a good round. If there's two of you going, 100 quid. 60 minutes in. Now, they have put up with dross. Okay, maybe not for the full 60 minutes, because the first 10 minutes we actually turned up. But they put up with that for 60 minutes. They've let it go up until the 60th minute. Surely they've got the right. I mean, if you go to a London theatre show and the players come out, the artists come out and they keep forgetting their lines. At the end, you'll be saying, I want my money back.
Yeah, but it's not going to help us. I mean, I'm not defending the players. I'm not defending the manager. I'm just saying we've got 12 games to get out of this rubbish. And when it's not going to help by that toxic atmosphere that was there on Saturday. I mean, I was as pissed off and as mad as anybody. But there's a guy next to me and his language was disgusting. There were kids around. He was foaming at the mouth. If he could have got on the pitch, he would have hurt somebody. And the players see this, and these are our own players. And they're not good enough. They're not playing good enough. But what do? You drop them and you pick somebody else. But we've got to support the club.
I accept that
it's not going to help. It's not going to keep us up.
I accept that the language is bad. And as I started Leicester Till I Die as a Facebook group, and I tried to ban, bad language in the group because of kids, technically 13 plus. But somebody said, look, it's a football group. They're going to hear worse than that down the King Power. And I think that's actually a fair point. That said, if you're going on and on and on like that, and let's be honest with you, the F word is now, well, how many times have we all used it tonight?
Well, it was worse than that, Chris, and it was just...
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. So the F word is becoming the norm. Years ago, the F word was, now it's the C word. I think in another 5 years, the C word might just be part of everyday language. So that is over the top. But booing the players and told you, welcome along, good evening, sir, he agrees with you. But I'm sorry, if these players, we demoralise them, they'll then go and get into your nice £100,000 car and drive off and decide how to spend your £70,000 a week wages and maybe go and speak to your £5,000 a week therapist. Well, I'll tell you what, while you're at it, go and have a swim in the bloody Seagrave swimming pool and have a game of golf while you're at it. I mean, I'm sorry, you go and do your job. You do your job to the best of your ability. It's like, when I was doing sales, if I had a bad day and my boss came up to me and said, what the fuck are you doing? I didn't go and cry and say, oh God, he's picking on me. No, don't. Sorry, were footballers pansies or what?
Yeah. Yeah, of course they are.
Fans have got a right. Fans have got the right to boo.
Yeah, we have. Yes, we have. But all I'm saying is it didn't help on Saturday and it won't help next Saturday. It won't because, yes, they are pansies. Yes, they are pathetic. Yes, they are pampered. And they're not like players in the 70s, 60s and 70s. But unfortunately, they're our players. And if we don't get behind them, I don't know why some of these guys go to away games, to be honest, because they're angry from the start.
Their team play decent football and win.
Yeah, but they're angry from the start, mate. I mean, it was
just the lineup.
Well, maybe, but then at least the Marty weren't playing. But I don't know.
I was going to say 1 hour, 9 minutes, and 43 seconds before we had the A word. Brad, let me ask you, right? If you went to the KP this weekend against Chelsea and you started cheering and getting behind the lads, do you think we'd beat Chelsea?
It causes great momentum, but you need a reason to cheer, and that's what you give, what you take, or you give what you get, I suppose, in a way. So if them players go out there and give their all, I mean, you're not going to please everybody with any style of football. We know that. There's going to be some people that think that this can work and this should be a way to go because it's defensive, it's a bit shored up, we just need to work better. And then there's going to be people that are like us that will go, yeah, but we know our expansive football. We've seen what it does. We've already seen it happen this season with the Villa game and Tottenham game, so we know what we're capable of. If you give us that, Rodgers, right, and the players who do give 100% every game, it's just they're not able to perform to their best ability because they're not playing to their strengths, right? When that happens and we cheer them, damn right they take the momentum with them. Because when we did it against Tottenham, I almost forgot they scored. I forgot Tottenham were playing at some points in that game. It was wonderful. It was a delight to watch. And I cheered them and we cheered them. We had a right knees up on here, without the alcohol involved. I don't know what you was drinking, but I was on a non-alcoholic beverage. But we loved it, didn't we? Yeah. And we loved that, didn't we? And until the incidents in the United game away, until that silly deflating moment where we gave the ball away and we went 1-0 down, we were reasonably happy with the first 45 minutes in the sense that we were 0-0 and had a chance to nick something here in the second half. So we were 1-0, we had a chance. It's when we see the negative football that makes us think they're just as afraid as we are. And as a club and as a football team, you go out there to show that you're not afraid of the opposition because everybody picks up on it. They pick up on everything in the football stadium, players and fans. Them players know that the fans are frustrated with the slow game, but they can't change that until the manager tells them. They know where the frustrations are like. It's not personal. Anyone that gets personal towards a single individual player in blaming them and gets nasty, no, don't tolerate it, don't like it. It's acceptable. Well, yeah, I mean, you should get sentenced for that. That's a form of abuse here, Dave. I'm just saying it. Just saying it as it is. I'm not calling you out or anything, but there's your criminal. But no, you know what I mean? Don't get too personal. Don't get thing with it. But you're allowed to show your displeasure. And sometimes you need it. Sometimes as a player, you need it. We're praying as fans that that Brendan hears it enough and goes, message received. You know, finally, I'll do something about it.
That's the problem, isn't it?
And then that's all we can do as fans. It's all we do as fans as well.
I mean, a season ticket, Dave, costs more probably than your annual holiday. Now, if your annual holiday, if you went on it, the hotel wasn't built, or there was building work outside,
not so much at my age, but yeah.
Well, you go on cruises and what have you, so it probably...
No, I'm a senior citizen on the ticket list.
Yeah, but if you have a season ticket...
Yeah.
It costs more.
It's a commitment
than a holiday.
And that's all we want from the players, a commitment. And we're not getting it from people. But can we really say that they're not committed, or are they just incompetent, or is the management team incompetent? I mean,
look at it this way, though: were they booing the players? And yes, they probably were.
At the end, yes.
But is it not booing in general the club for the way it is at the moment? I mean, you know, they were being searched and banners were being taken off them in case they dared to criticise the manager of the club. I mean, how paranoid is that of the club?
I think that I was more surprised. I mean, I've changed my view over the weekend because I think I put it on Facebook that I've heard so many different views about the game that I wonder sometimes if I was watching the same one. But I think I forgot what the hell I was going to say now. Obviously not thinking.
That comes with old age, mate.
It bloody right it does. I mean, some of the fans were saying, well, we didn't play that bad, we just missed the chances. And if we'd have took the chance, and I think this is where Madison's coming from, if we'd have took the chances, 2 or 3 of which were pretty simple, we'd have won. But
if when and maybe,
I still don't think we played that well. we made 4 or 5 chances, and that was it. And then played back and forward across the back line and negative, and we're too scared to go forward. Like we used to, first ball straight through Vardy, bang. I haven't seen them play a through ball for Vardy since. I know he's not had much pitch time.
I still say, Brad, you'll agree with me on this. When Rodgers came in, he said he wanted to get us back to attacking football, and he did. But now it's worse than Puel. I said the other day I would have Puel back now, tomorrow, because well, we never got this low, did we? When Puel was in charge,
he didn't have time, did he?
He had a fair bit of time.
I think Southampton fans would agree with it as well that he wasn't a good buy. But I don't know what I honestly don't know what the problem is. We've got the players. You can't say they're not good enough. They are. We've got 3 brilliant new additions, and yet,
one of which is now cut out for a month.
Yeah, and
but Brad, I wanted to bring Brad in. Brad, your thoughts on Puel?
Look, let's not go down that dark alley again. It's a horrible place to go. But
we weren't this bad.
No, we were worse, mate.
No, we weren't.
Yeah, we really were. I think you forget just how bad we were under Puel.
We
were really bad.
Under Puel? We were 17th under Puel.
We were worse than how we've been in this part. Look, the thing, we did, mate. And we had we actually had a stronger availability of players back then. We had the likes of Vicente Iborra, a serial European winner. We had in the second half of the season, we then had Silva. We had some quality in that team that should have been performing a hell of a lot better than it was. It was still bad football, regardless of where we were in the league. The league was just in a different state back then. We were terrible under Puel. But, and there is a shining light to my insult and dragging down the Puel here, because it goes for Brendan as well. Right now, we are awful under Brendan. We are getting close to the Puel thing. I will give you that. It is scary how close we are to it, but we are not quite just yet as bad as that, because at least Rodgers has shown that he knows how to switch the attack button on. He just doesn't. He does. He has, though, hasn't he? He has. You have to admit, he has found it. Maybe accidentally leant on it and he doesn't realise. Maybe he sneezed too hard, but by hook or by crook.
I need to do something.
4-1 up against Spurs, 4-2 up against Aston Villa.
Oh, twice this season.
Yeah, I know. I didn't say it was a lot, did I? I just said he's done it. Right?
4-0 Forest.
Yeah, 4-0 Forest, though. So back at you on that one. It has been found. It has been found at times.
But this sort of, we beat Forest 4-0 and we beat these then and what have you. In that run, we have not kept a clean sheet since before the World Cup, right? Suddenly, we were great before the World Cup because we kept clean sheets and we kept winning and we won quite a few games on the trot. They were bottom half teams. Apart from Spurs, the highest placed team we have beaten is Aston Villa, and that's 11th.
Yeah, which is still like 6 places higher than us. So just count our chickens when we're picking up one to get there.
That's the standard we're at now, is it?
No, it's not. But the solution's in it right in front of him. It's the way he started Leicester. I am going to, however, make a very valid point. After all that negativity, I've just slated towards the defensive slow build-up play of both Puel and Rodgers, right? I am going to make a but point to that. I do understand I sort of understand the logic between both of them being so stubborn with it when they've activated defence mode, which is what they both did in their times at Leicester. And that is purely because a good team runs off one plan. We know Leicester, counter, spring, hit you on the attack. We'll flood that midfield and outnumber you. So we'll have 4 or 5 in attack, and you won't even have your centre backs ready before we've got to the edge of your box, and we're gonna score. Right? That's how Leicester played well. That's what got them European football. It's what won as a league. We know what Leicester could do. What great teams go on to do, and that's the advancement stage that a certain Tottenham Hotspur are considerably struggling with, despite making at least one Champions League final. They still have less trophies than us in the Premier League era, so there is that. But it's that transition side to become a great side. You need to have two modes of transport. You need to be able to transition from your opposition. And this is where Rodgers is getting it wrong, because everybody was like, this is the perfect game. Rodgers, you are away from home. You saw it when you did it against Blackburn in that dross of an FA Cup game. You leant on that switch and suddenly we were all over him like a rash. We had a goal out of nowhere and suddenly we were kidding ourselves. We were going to take this to extra time and penalties with a late goal. Never materialised. And then obviously that switch must have got sat on again and turned it off, because if he does that against Southampton, we probably do win that game. And that's where it's just going wrong, really, right now. We need a manager that can activate a plan 2 and get it right for Leicester, because that's the one thing us fans also moan about. We don't have a plan B. We just use plan A and alter it. Well, no, we don't even have that at the moment, granted. But yeah, the point is still there. You know what I mean?
Sorry, Dave. I will still go back to the point that I am not saying that Claude Puel was our best ever manager. He only had a 34.3% win rate. 67 games he had with us, so it's well over a season and a half there. Like I say, I'm not saying... He came in and he saved us from relegation. Brendan Rodgers came in. I want to get this exciting football back. Where the fuck is it? It's hiding somewhere, because we're playing, and I still say this, I'm not saying that Puel was the greatest manager. What I'm saying is it is as bad now as it was under Puel. Puel at least got us to beat Man City. Would this team beat Man City under this manager? Not in a million years.
They did, though, didn't they? 5-2.
When was that?
The COVID season, so it doesn't matter what you want to think about it. Okay, I'll backfire it to you then. Puel got us ripped to shreds. What was it, 5-0? By Man City, got us ripped to shreds every time we pretty much played them once. So Rodgers has the same success rate against Man City.
I'm still saying this is no better than that. This isn't better. It is worse, because no matter how bad we were playing under Puel, we were not in this relegation position. He got us out of a relegation position. Rodgers just
and then presumably we're sending us straight back down to that position.
I think Puel went because of the high expectations we'd had with the Premier League, etc. I think we were in 8th position when we got rid of him, so we never went bottom under him.
Pretty sure we were down at 14th and Rodgers came in and rescued the season up to 8.
I read somewhere 8. So
maybe he did. Maybe I'm just disremembering it.
You possibly could be right. What I'm saying is we've never been bottom under 12. What I'm saying is we are no better now. Are we, Dave?
I will admit, yeah, okay, I get you more now. The period we're in right now was no better. In terms of level of management, there's no argument. He's won us trophies and taken us to Europe. You can't argue with it, no matter what you think of where it's gone. But on the period, yeah, now it makes painful sense. Makes more painful sense what it is the point you're making, not as a whole, but in the period we're going through right now.
Rodgers for everything he has done for us.
But maybe we're seeing where Puel would have taken us by playing this way, because that's where it was heading. If you think about it, we've just allowed someone a longer chance to correct it and prove Puel wrong, and really all it's doing is, hey, he's copying Puel's book, and look how it's working out for us in the long run. Not well, so you could argue that.
Terry, I think, is agreeing with me there. Dave, let me ask you this.
Make a point. Just say something.
Yeah, of course.
We see glimpses of brilliance in games when the quick 1-2 passing goes on when we're going forward. We haven't seen it so much lately, but when we see that, it's brilliant. But then we go back to playing across the back four and negative back passing, and we don't do it often enough. Now, is that the manager or is that the players being nervous? Because that's the question.
Can I just say, when did you see us passing and going forward?
Well, we do, yeah. When Barnes gets 1-2s going, when he does, Maddison and Vardy, if they ever play together again.
It's great having those moments of brilliance if you've got an end product.
That's what I'm saying, but we have had, because we've scored 4-4-4, you know.
But Terry, I do like you.
Not very often. Not very often. That's the problem.
This is the problem. Not very often. Every team that gets relegated wins one game. I mean, Derby pretty much took it to the edge and nearly did.
We are better than where we are.
Let me ask. Sorry?
I said we are better than where we are, but whose problem is it that we're where we are? And you're right, it's the manager. It is the manager. I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm just saying we're not helping as fans if we're going to start slagging them off all the time.
Well, I just think they need to know how us fans feel. If we don't do that, then they'll think, oh, the fans are happy with this.
You should send them a copy of this tonight.
Well, you know they're not going to, though, won't you? That's the thing. Because they don't want to hear the truth. And not just this channel, any team's channel, any fan channel from any team. They don't want to hear what's being said by the fans. Oh, yes, they'll maybe have these fan committees. I mean, Dan at Burnley, he's and congratulations to him. He's on a new fan committee. He goes and meets Alan Pace once a month. But I'm sure he's not going to sit there and really lay into him if he's not happy.
No.
And no disrespect to Dan, but we don't because we're with Alan Pace or, we're with Top. But let me ask you this, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Are managers not judged on or everybody should be judged on what they are doing now?
Mm-hmm.
If somebody looks at my CV, if I take them back 8 years, I was salesperson of the year. Great. Now I'm not working. What are they going to look at? Brendan, great, as Ranieri. You cannot tell me that Ranieri didn't have to be sacked when he was sacked.
No. I'm not disagreeing with you, Chris, about him.
I'm just asking you the question, though.
Yeah.
So we weren't as bad as this under Ranieri either.
No. I said to you, I think it was not long after Christmas, he had to go. And I've not changed my view on that. But I just think if we want to get ourselves out of this hole, we perhaps need to bite the bullet and just, give it a go.
Do you think the fans, every time that we kick off, they're not booing from the first minute?
No,
they
not.
want to get behind the team. But Brad made the point. Yeah. They've got to have something to get behind.
Yeah, they have, and I just think of teams that have had support all the way through and actually come up and got a last-minute winner, or it just might have gone in if we'd have been not giving it all that crap. I don't know, but you don't know, Chris. That's the point.
Agree to disagree on that one. Yeah, I don't think if I'm booing that Inacho's headers just going to suddenly go in.
Well, no, but I think with Iniacho, maybe because he lacks confidence. He was such.
Well, anybody then. James Maddison, if I boo him,
I don't know, mate. I'm just saying it's not helping. That's my view. But
no, I agree. I'm not saying your view isn't right or not. Well, I'm just obviously for the point of discussion putting the other side across. You know you're wrong, but that's beside the point. No, I jest.
What was your question?
Sorry?
What was your question?
What have we been doing for the last 5 to 7 years? Why are we in this situation?
Yeah, you're right. And my point is that how many managers, when they're talked to, say, well, it's a results business. That is a standard phrase that they use. It's a results business. Well, Brendan, I'm sorry if it is. Just pack up and leave. Don't make us pay you off. Do the right thing. I do question whether with just 12 games to go, there's a manager out there that can actually make a difference. I mean, Sean Dyche at Everton, I thought, Christ, that's put us in a few problems, but it's not, has it?
No.
They're still bad. Still got them to go down.
I think so, Brad. I was listening to it on Talk Sport, and I think it was probably Simon Jordan or one of those said a manager will never walk because he's not going to get a pay packet. But if he's sacked, he gets a wage that probably means to you and me would never have to work again.
Yeah, and then you argue who wants the words sacked on the CV, because that's what every club's going to look at.
Does it matter?
Sorry, what was that?
Does it matter these days how many sacks has Mourinho got on his TV? But if he's out of work, they'll be queuing up for him.
well, some owners are a little bit bizarre and a little bit not in touch with the sport entirely. That doesn't help the situation. There's some very. I would like to even say that the owners that come in and know nothing about the sport at least have the greatest of intentions, the sort of right idea. But Chelsea have proven that's not the case. But you know what I mean. Sometimes you just have people that do things because that's what they know. They go, oh, okay, it's not working. You're fired. It's not working. You're fired. Watford, you're fired. Watford, you're fired. I mean, sorry, I've said the wrong word. But when it happens, that's just the person down to the personality. It's just not a nice thing to just be looking at and talking about, isn't it? Really, because it's a club that you look at and you would think that we could get most managers to agree to want to come here, but the prospect is when you're down to 12 games, we've said it before, sometimes the trigger's pulled too late. I mean, I'm not saying that some manager couldn't get better at this team because I don't think it's that difficult to fix it. Just keep that tempo that you play against when you play against these must-win games when your heart's going and all of a sudden we're going to thrash aside and score 4 goals like we do when the rare occasion he wants to play that way. Because if you get it wrong, you do become a Watford, don't you? And technically, our owners have already done that. We kind of forget how the start of their reign went. They were sacking and getting back in bed with the ex-Nigel Pearson more times than we all care to remember at some point, weren't they? So they've been scolded by it as well. So I think you've got to take that on board when we think about why maybe no immediate actions happen, despite maybe the fact that it really should with the decline in form and failures on the pitch.
Yeah, would you not agree though, Dave? No manager's going to walk. No manager worth his salt is going to. I wouldn't, and if I was in that position, and you said, right, you walk, I can walk away, but you know what? I'm not going to get any money. But I tell you what, sack me because you can pay me off £5 million, and I don't have to get another job. And we looked at the other day, I think, Brad. We looked at how many managers were out of work. Most of them. Why isn't Pochettino? He will have had loads of offers. Why isn't he taking those offers? Because he's got enough money to say, well, I'm going to wait for the job I want, which is within his right. But you sack a manager. How many managers, once you get past maybe Jurgen Klopp and once you get past Pep Guardiola, how many managers in the Premier League have not been sacked at some point in their life?
Well,
Liverpool sacked Brendan Rodgers. It didn't stop us running after him.
No, you won't agree, you won't believe me, but I'd walk.
I'd
walk. I'd be too proud to stick out waiting for the sack. I'd know if I was doing badly or not.
Unfortunately, there is
Rodgers is a bit arrogant a bit arrogant. I'd say proud, but that's a nice thing to be.
I'm not saying Rodgers, but any man. What have you ever known a manager walk?
Not many, no. Not unless they're in the job lined up. But I just think professional pride should tell him that. You know, I mean, somebody's just mentioned it earlier. I can't remember who it was now, but to come out with those comments that he did after the game, I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't, and it's very rare that I look and say, well, that's it, Terry's comments. If we play like that for the rest of the season, we'll be all right. No, we won't. We're going to go down if we play like that for the rest of the season. But he's a professional manager that's a great coach, apparently, according to Gerrard.
Do not get me started on the amazing coach that gets outthought by Arteta in his first manager's job,
exactly.
gets outthought by a championship manager, gets outthought
So what do I know? Yeah. But he should know more than I do.
Even a manager.
Well, precisely. So who can't see that? Top, Susan, who can't see it? Because we can see it.
Too distracted with King Power and COVID, do you think?
I think Top's distracted by the fact that we have finished 5th in 2 seasons, won the FA Cup, and he's loyal. I don't think it's anything to do with the money. I think they've got more money than they know what to do with anyway. But I know there's been a crisis, but I still think they've got loads of money. I think he's loyal. Where his dad, I think, bless him, was more of a businessman. I said, look, I don't care who you are. If you're not doing the job, you're out, Claudio.
Yeah.
I think Top would have kept Claudio for another year or two.
Interesting. Brad, we'll round it off with this because somebody shot me down the other day and said, well, look, okay, if you want to sack Rodgers, and let's be honest with you, if we sack Rodgers, the chances are everybody would go because virtually everybody's his team. Normally you say, we'll keep the assistant manager on, but he's part of his team. And we did go through a list of managers that were available. You've got, the guy from Southampton who came from Luton. You've got Gerrard. You've got Lampard. You've got all your.
I'm unmuting just to tell you to back off and stop naming these arseholes.
Jesse March, he's available. But look,
right, piss off now. Piss off.
All joking aside, do not ask who is out there that is any better. Ask who is out there that is any worse.
Right. It's a far longer list, I can tell you that much right now with the way he's got Leicester playing. And the annoying thing is, again, with how football is, there's always a little niggly argument when you're the top dog and you've got to come up with the reasons. And I say top dog loosely with Brendan being just the fact that he's a manager and that's his title. Because he will say, look at it and go, well, look, if Iheanacho scores them 2 chances and Harvey Barnes buries his and we're 3-0 up, it's a different game. And if we play like that, we'll be safe. And to a degree, he's right. If he uses the context right, he could get away with going, well, yeah, obviously if we play like that, but we didn't for 90 minutes. And then the fans would moan a different way about why we lost to Southampton, bottom of the league, who couldn't beat anybody couldn't be anyone unless they're playing blue, apparently, with Chelsea and Leicester. But it is one of them. It's not so much anymore about who would be getting. It's more about who's worse. So now the options that are available. Who's out there that will come in and do no worse than what he's doing. The only issue to kind of backlash and counteract that is who could you bring in now, or who would not be wanting to come in now, but who would say, if you're in the Premiership next season, I'm available. Because that old Prem power button gets played here, and I'd say, yes, it's very, very unlikely, even if Leicester are in the Premiership next season, that someone like Pochettino, or as you said, Tuchel, that was it, I forgot his name. When we discussed it, Chris, them managers won't be interested in Leicester right now. But if you spoke to one of them and said, look, we're going to give Brendan the old heave-ho at the season, regardless of whether he keeps us or not. You keep it in a horse. What would it take to get you to come and manage Leicester next season and get us back on track to where we want to be? And he's gone A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and how many letters he wants to use to his reasoning why. And they go, I won't come now, but if you're in the Premiership next season, I'll take the job. It's a whole compromise thing, isn't it? You don't know what could convince someone, because a Premier League job's a Premier League job. And we are a bit of a hot commodity.
What I said to you at the time was, look at Burnley. I mean, they got rid of Sean Dyche. They put Ben Mee in charge, who was the captain, and he started to win. All right, he didn't keep them up, obviously, but I just think if you got what they've got to look at is how much money we are going to lose if we get relegated, because we ain't going to come straight back up like Burnley are, against how much it would cost to pay somebody to get them in just to keep us up. I say, this is your job for until the end of the season. Well, I was looking for a better job. We'll give you X amount of money. Oh, okay. We'll give you a bonus if you stay up. Oh, right. Money speaks. Money speaks, but you're quite right. A lot of managers are not going to want to come on a short-term deal. And it's quite interesting because I was watching a couple of West Ham shows over the weekend. And Jake, who we know from West Ham Unofficial, I think he would. He's only 15 and he can't drive, but he'd drive down there and get Moyes out, I tell you. As would Forge from Iron, Rob. And it's nice to have Rob back, by the way. He was off for a bit, but he's back now. He absolutely was destroying Moyes the other night. And you know what? The funny thing is, I offered them Brendan, and they said they would take him. I mean, that's how desperate they are. Sometimes it is just that new face coming in. But look, whatever happens, however long we sit here and talk about it, we know we're going to, what will be will be. I want to end now with this last point for. There's only one person can answer this question, and I'm not going to be. I don't think I am sort of in the right place to answer this question. There's somebody here that can just answer this question. It's like a specialist topic on Mastermind. A question from Dynamite here. Dave, it's all yours, mate. Go for it. Go. This is a bit worrying.
Yes, my name is Ico Pico.
That's what I think of a Marty.
Is he available to manage Leicester by any chance?
Well, actually, I think so.
I'm presuming it's a he.
Well, who knows? It's hard to tell, really.
Can I just say,
with Ipsy Tipsy or whatever her name is.
All I will say is, Dave, them blow up dolls have changed in my time.
A lot less harsh nowadays.
On that note, I think we best leave it.
Yeah,
Dave,
good to see you, boys.
I will have you back, we will have you back on Wednesday for the
looking forward to that
show. We'll be doing a playoff years special. So we'll be looking back at all the playoff good and bad and ugly that there was, and obviously the amazing goalkeeping efforts of one, Zelko Kalach in there. We can find you in the meantime doing your old prog rocks, surreyhillsradio.co.uk.
Yeah, you can catch it on Mixcloud. We had a bit of issue with the timing of the loading up. We're in the hands, as you know, Chris, of other people that try and put these shows on, and unfortunately the company that do it, SoundCloud or somebody, no, not SoundCloud, anyway, they got about 30 seconds out, so a bit of silence, but don't worry about that. It will be wonderful, great music.
But radio silence is okay for a few minutes. It's when they make it about an hour on your show, isn't it, Dave?
That's always a bit of a problem. Yeah, I get more listeners that way.
9:00 Wednesday, Dave and me looking back at the playoff years. Thanks very much, mate. I will see you then.
Good to see you, Brad.
Yeah, you too, mate.
Take care.
Thanks a lot to Dave. Oh God, I did not get his name wrong once tonight. He's back on He's back on Facebook as Dave. This is why they've let him out of Facebook jail. I got a message off Dave, and I'm thinking, who the hell is that? Because I'm not used to him being Dave. I'll give him 4. I'll give him 4 weeks, and he'll be banned again. I know what he's like. Brad, we can find you on Top 10 Battles.
Yeah, you can. That's my YouTube channel, Top 10 Battles. So if you like football top 10s and you like football quizzes, go over and help support my channel. It'd be great if you come and join in on the regular show. You can follow me on Twitter at Fulltime Focus, but make sure that while you're here, you do the good self and hit subscribe and smash like on this video first. Yeah, it's been good having been on.
Brilliant, mate. Stay on because we'll have a chat afterwards.
Yeah, no worries.
Right, cheers. Thanks to Mr. Echo there and his Bet Gecko. I've done that joke too many times. Interesting show today. Thank you very much. Good luck, lad. Thank you very much. Told ya. Terry, we can have him for half that. You couldn't do any worse, Terry. 10-foot Kalach. Guys, thank you so much. If you've enjoyed the show, brilliant. Why not share it? Tell other Leicester fans about it. And of course, we don't just do Leicester content. And of course, we also now do Formula One, just short of 500 views for the watch along on Sunday. Well happy with that. Chris, I just joined your Leicester. Oh, Anthony's on. Anthony has joined our. Yeah, I'll go on and accept it when I finished here tonight, mate. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, we did what I was saying, Formula One. Nearly 500 views for the watch along. It was fun. I enjoyed it. So we're going to do another one in 2 weeks on the Sunday, and we will be doing them on Sundays. It will take us through the summer as well when there's no football. But when we're not playing a game at the weekend on the Sunday, we'll be doing that watch along. So thank you to everybody who supported that. Oh, there we go. Nate's just saying there, how was the F1? Hey, better than I thought, mate. Better than I thought. It was good. We all knew who was going to win it. But the battle for third, come on, Alonso, Aston Martin. I do like a bit of Aston Martin. We're going to be back on Wednesday. My sister's coming down to see me tomorrow, so looking forward to that. We'll be back on Wednesday with the memory show, like I just said, with our friend Dave. Be sure to check out Surrey Hills Radio if you're into your prog rock. He does a really good show on there. And be sure to check out Top 10 Battles, which is Brad's take on football. It's different. It's great. It's quizzes. I'm doing less quizzes now, so I think Brad could be doing more quizzes on his. So go over there and check it out. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't. Smash the likes. And please, $1.99 a month. It will help the channel. Become a member. Join us. You get special discounts on merchandise. You get special groups. It's loads of extras you get for just $1.99 a month. $1.99 a month. And we will see you soon. See you soon. See you on Wednesday. Thank you very much to everybody that's been in the chat. And of course, as always, don't forget TikTok. We are now on TikTok. I've uploaded about 20 videos today, so there's a lot to catch up on. Go over there and follow me at LTID TV. It's all leaves me to say. All I can say is, here's Arnie.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That's all, folks.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye, and see you next time.
I'm looking for Dr. Goodhead.